It was the kind of night that felt heavier than usual. The streets were wet from a recent drizzle, and the cold cut through the air like invisible glass. Michael had just finished a double shift at the factory. His body ached with exhaustion, his hands blistered from hours of labor, but his mind carried an even heavier weight, the endless thoughts of how to keep things together as a single dad. In the backseat of his beat-up car, his little girl, Lily, slept soundly, clutching her worn-out teddy bear. She was just 7, with curls that framed her face like an angel's and a smile that kept Michael alive on his darkest days. As he turned down a dimly lit street, his headlights caught something unusual, a figure slumped against a brick wall. At first, Michael thought it was a shadow, maybe even a trick of the light. But as he slowed down, his heart dropped. It was a young woman. Her clothes were torn, her feet bare, her skin pale from the cold. She hugged her knees to her chest, shaking as though her body no longer had the strength to fight. Her hair was matted, her lips cracked, and her eyes, those hollow, broken eyes, were fixed on the ground. Michael's instincts screamed two things at once: keep driving. Don't get involved. But his heart said otherwise. He pulled over. The first encounter. Michael approached cautiously. He knew how vulnerable people on the street could feel. He kept his voice low, gentle, as though speaking to his own child. Hey, are you all right? Do you need help? The young woman flinched, her body curling tighter. For a moment, Michael thought she wouldn't respond at all. Then, with a voice so faint it was almost lost in the wind, she whispered, "Please. I have nowhere to go." Something inside Michael shattered. He crouched down, trying to meet her eyes, but she avoided his gaze. Her cheeks were streaked with tears, her fingers trembling against her skin. "Look," Michael said softly. "I don't know what happened to you. But I can't leave you out here like this. My little girl is in the car. We're going home. You can come with us. Just for tonight. You'll be safe." Her eyes finally lifted, unsure, filled with fear and disbelief. "Safe," she repeated, as if the word was foreign to her. Michael nodded. "Safe. I promise." Her story. Her name was Emily. Over the next few days, as warmth returned to her body and food gave her strength, pieces of her story spilled out like broken glass on the floor. She had once been a college student with dreams of becoming a teacher. But life had not been kind. She fell in love with the wrong man, a man who turned her life into a cage of abuse, control, and pain. When she finally found the courage to escape, she had nothing but the clothes on her back. Friends had turned away. Family had closed their doors. And the world? The world had passed her by as though she were invisible. By the time Michael found her, she had been sleeping in abandoned buildings and skipping meals for days. Her hope was gone. "I didn't think anyone would notice me," she whispered one evening, tears filling her eyes. I thought maybe it would be easier if I just disappeared." Michael swallowed hard. He looked at his daughter, Lily, who had taken an instant liking to Emily, and felt a surge of determination. "You don't get to disappear," he said firmly. "Not on my watch." Adjusting to a new life. Michael's small apartment was already cramped. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, and a kitchen that could barely fit 3 people at the table. But Emily fit into their lives as though she had always belonged. At first, she struggled with even the simplest things, like eating at a table with others, or sleeping through the night without fear. She jumped at sudden noises, panicked when she was left alone, and often apologized for simply existing. But Lily, with the pure heart of a child, changed everything. "Emily," she said one afternoon, handing her a pink blanket. "This is yours now. You're part of us." Emily broke down in tears. That blanket, frayed and old, became her most precious gift. The challenges. Life didn't magically become perfect. In fact, it became harder in many ways. 1. Money problems. Michael worked overtime to keep food on the table. But with Emily now under his roof, expenses doubled. He quietly skipped meals, telling Emily he wasn't hungry, but she knew the truth. 2. Emily's trauma. The shadows of Emily's past lingered. She had nightmares that left her shaking and screaming. Sometimes, she couldn't get out of bed. Other times, she would stare out the window for hours, lost in painful memories. 3. Judgment. Neighbors whispered behind Michael's back. His sister questioned him bluntly. "You're a single dad. You can't just bring in some stranger. What if she hurts you? What about Lily?" But Michael refused to turn away. "Kindness isn't a mistake," he said. "It's a choice. Step-by-step healing." Michael never rushed Emily. He gave her space when she needed it and encouragement when she doubted herself. He introduced her to simple routines, cooking dinner together, walking Lily to school, reading bedtime stories. Slowly, Emily began to smile again. She started drawing with Lily in the evenings, sketching flowers and sunshine. One day, she admitted softly, "I used to love art. I gave it up, because he told me I was worthless." Michael leaned closer. "Don't ever believe that again. You're not worthless. You're stronger than you know." A turning point. One night, after a particularly long day, Michael tucked Lily into bed and walked into the living room. Emily was sitting on the couch, her hands clenched tightly around that pink blanket. Tears streamed down her face. "I don't deserve this," she said brokenly. "You've given me a home, food, safety, and I have nothing to give you back." Michael sat down beside her. He didn't speak at first. He just took her hand in his, warm and steady. Then, with quiet strength, he whispered words that made her chest tighten. "You don't owe me anything. You belong here. Stay with me forever." Emily froze. For the first time, she allowed herself to believe those words. And in that moment, the walls she had built around her heart began to crumble. Building a future. With Michael's encouragement, Emily enrolled in night classes, determined to chase her dream of becoming a teacher. It wasn't easy, she battled self-doubt, exhaustion, and lingering fears, but Michael and Lily stood by her every step. There were nights when she wanted to quit, nights when the weight of her past pressed too heavily on her shoulders. But then she'd see Lily's proud smile or hear Michael's steady voice reminding her, "You're stronger than your pain." And she kept going. The family they became. Years passed. Emily became a teacher, loved by her students and respected by her peers. Michael continued to work hard, but he no longer carried the weight of the world alone. He had Emily by his side. Together, they built a life filled with laughter, struggles, victories, and love. Lily grew up surrounded not by wealth, but by something far greater, an unbreakable bond of kindness and hope. Michael never forgot the night he found Emily on the street. Sometimes, when they sat on the balcony together, he would look at her and say softly, "You think I saved you? But truth is, you saved me, too." And Emily, with tears in her eyes, would whisper back, "No, Michael. We saved each other." Final message. This isn't just a story about a man who took in a woman with nothing. It's about the power of compassion. About how one act of kindness can rewrite an entire life. Michael whispered, "Stay with me forever." But what he truly meant was, you are not alone anymore. You are loved. You are home. Call to action. If this story touched your heart, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below. Would you have done what Michael did? Do you believe kindness has the power to save lives? And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Be kind always for more stories like this. Let's fill the world with love, hope, and compassion, one story at a time. Because sometimes, the smallest whisper, "Stay with me forever," can change everything.